Welcome to Esoteric Thoughts. Today I've got the great pleasure of welcoming to the channel Clayton Holmes. For those who don't know who Clayton Holmes is, Clayton, please tell us, what is Clayton Holmes best known for?
I am best known for my athleticism. I was fortunate enough to make it to the Dallas Cowboys and become a part of three Super Bowl championships. So my athleticism, I would say, is what I'm best known for.
So Clayton, starting off with your earliest memories as a child, tell us a bit about your childhood. Did you grow up in the church at all?
Yes, I grew up in the church. We went to church twice on Sunday, Wednesday. I think there was a Monday. So I grew up in a church, and I grew up in a holiness church, which meant to me at the time that women didn't wear makeup, they didn't wear pants. It was really strict when I first grew up in it. And then, you start moving to like Southern Baptists, and they started like, okay, it's okay for women not to wear dress now. You can wear pants. So they're just, yeah. I've lived in it for 18 years until I went to college. And I went to a Baptist college. And in that Baptist college, we had to take Old Testament and New Testament. And honestly, and so that's when I really like a spark happened, because I honestly thought like God wrote the Bible. I honestly like they said the tablets came down. I honestly thought like the Bible was like the word of God. And then when I got to Old Testament, the first day in class, they told us that the way the Bible was written was that the Council of Nicaea, these how many, 12 guys, a certain amount of guys sat around a table, and they decided on which books they wanted to put into the Bible. And then bing, 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 just like light bulbs went off. Not just then, but always, even when I was a child. So to answer your question, I grew up in the church.
And what part of the States was this in?
Ooh, South Carolina.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your childhood and the early days.
Okay. My childhood, if I had not already been through all of this, I would be like crying right now. But I'm just so happy about my childhood. But my childhood had no encouragement from um, the people that love me, that was supposed to give it to me, like mom, dad, anything like that. Everything was just always negative. We are, I'm going to church with people, and these people are coming out of church and calling me like demons and you're evil, and nothing like encouraging. So my childhood, up until I started playing sports, and again, I mean no disrespect to anyone when you hear me talking, just please listen to what I'm saying and the reason for me saying it. I'm saying this for us to understand our children more, love them, and treat them with respect. But I've been through physical, mental, and sexual abuse. And after all of it, I honestly can say that mental abuse is one of the worst things that a child can go through, is the mental abuse, especially from making a mistake. And you didn't understand why you made the mistake. And you were hoping that the parent is going to help you understand it. But instead, there are these negative terms that come. And we don't know the power of putting curses on our children. When you say you dumbass, you ain't shit, you ain't, those are curses that we're putting on our children. So I'm willing to put my life on the line. Any parent that's ever said to their child, you ain't gonna be shit, you dumbass, and you saw those negative things, see what your child is doing right now. Now I know what I'm going to be talking about is going to be hard to understand, but we got to get through this, family. And I got through it. That's how I became a professional athlete. The first time I got encouragement. So my childhood, it was terrible until I hit a baseball one day. I can't remember a birthday, a Christmas, nobody encouraging me, telling me I was going to be something in life. So that's how my childhood was, bro.
And you mentioned you've suffered physical, mental, and sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
How did you cope with that at the time?
I cope with it the way that everyone copes with it that's went through it. Our mind has an amazing way of blocking that out of our minds and us not thinking about it. So there, even though I went through all of that stuff, it wasn't like I was aware of how it was affecting me. I wasn't aware. And if I thought about a moment of some type of abuse that happened, I didn't like go into it and keep thinking about it. Again, my mind gets me off of it. But what really opened up the box to me understanding what happened to me is when I got drafted, I got suspended from the Cowboys, and I had to talk to a psychiatrist. And he asked me, have you ever been physically, mentally, or sexually abused? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, tell me about it. And then, oh my goodness, it was like, oh, it hurt. I hated my mama, my daddy, my brothers, the old man across the street. I hated everybody. Now it was on me. But before that, I was running from it. That's why I was a great athlete. I wasn't stupid on the football field. I wasn't stupid on the track. I wasn't dumb. I was amazing. So I was running from what made me feel stupid, what made me feel dumb, or that I wasn't like smart enough. I was running and running and running, and I took that running all the way to professional. And it's like, okay, we can't run no more. It's time to face some things. And that's what football did for me. That football wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. It was a stepping stone for me to do what I'm really supposed to be doing, which we're going to get into in this conversation later. But again, to answer your question, I wasn't aware of how the abuse that I went through was affecting me in my life. I wasn't aware of it as a child, and most of us aren't, especially when we hadn't told anybody or anything like that. But it affects us, and I see where it affected me, and still affects me.
And my understanding is that at some point in your childhood, you even tried to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about
Mm-hmm.
that. What happened?
Okay. And again, I hope that word we said just now, I know YouTube and all that stuff is kind of funny. So you might want to bleep that out if we put this on YouTube, because I think they feel funny about saying that word. But the first time I ever did that, it was never on my mind to do, never at all. But I was at a turning point in my life where I didn't see it at the time, but I was following down the path of my two oldest brothers, stealing, breaking into houses. My oldest brother introduced me to stealing, and he introduced me to breaking into houses. Then we get caught. We have to go to court. This was my first time ever in court, and the judge asked me, who would I want to live with? Do I want to live with my mom or my dad? And I said, I want to live with my mom. And I was, 12 years old around the time, 12 or 13 years old, whatever seventh grade is. I was around that age. And so, but the judge saw that, man, if he stays with his mom, he's going to be going down the same path where his older two brothers are going. And that's exactly where I was headed. So the judge awarded custody to my dad. So me and my mom go home, and we're in the car. It's just quiet. We get home, we're walking to the door, and my mom opens the door, and she pushes the door open. She said, go on in the house. And I went in the house, and our room was the first one on the left. And as soon as I went in the room, I heard my mama crying, and I ain't never heard my mama cry. She said, they're going to take all of my kids from me. They're going to take all of my kids from me. And she ran down the hall, and she slammed the door. And I didn't want to live anymore. I ain't never heard my mama cry, even though, my mama had her ways with us, but she's our mama. And my mom she's always been strong. So I seen her, I seen her and heard her crying. It was because of me. And there were some pills on top of the refrigerator. I wrote a note. I took the pills and I put the note up under my pillow. And then the next thing I remember, my mom waking me up. Now, I didn't know to this day what those pills were that I took. But my mom woke me up. I got that note from up under my bed. I bought it up and I threw it in the trash. But that was my first time ever doing that.
How did you get into football?
I got into football. I started out with baseball. Baseball was the first organized sport that I started. And after I got good in baseball, I had a friend ask me to come out for football. And so I went out for football. And the thing with me when I was younger, if an adult, or especially a coach, says something to me, like, I need you to run here as fast as you can, or I need you not to do it this way or do it that way, I looked at them and said, okay, and bam, I just did exactly what they said. You're like, okay, I didn't do that hard enough. I'm like, okay, cool. So bam, I'm back up on the line. Bam. So next thing I know, I'm playing football, and the coach is telling another coach about me, and yeah, the next thing I'm shining in football. And because, again, when I was playing sports, I wasn't that dumb, dirty, snotty nosed little Clayton that nobody liked. But when I got on that sports field, I was told, I amazed myself. It was just amazing. I was just like, how the hell did I do that? It was just amazing to me why I did what I did. But that's what got me in love with sports. That's what got me in love with football. And the most important thing is when that coach came along, that person that tapped me on the back for the first time, or told me that, man, I know you can do better than that, or just encouraged me. Whew, I got that from coaches. And that's why I excelled in sports. I wanted to make my coaches happy. I like that pat on the back. I enjoyed that. And all I had to do was, okay, the coach asked me to do something, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. That's how simple it can be I'm going to say simple, but it is to get to the top. But you got to know how to push yourself. You got to know how to get past that point of, I can't go anymore, and realizing you can. And again, having someone to inspire you. And I touched those moments in me that let me know that I can go harder. I can go longer. And that's what separates professional athletes from, people don't make it. But yeah, sports. I found out that football was my thing, and sports is when I was free. I was in the moment with sports.
So, along with your newfound fame and your sports achievement, how did people react to you with regards to you coming into money, you coming into fame?
That was heartbreaking. That was truly heartbreaking. I got drafted the second pick in the third round in 1992. I was supposed to get picked in the second round, but because of the little money games that are played, my agent switched a second round pick for the second round, a second round pick for a third round pick being second. And the money that they were offering was the money that suited me for being drafted second pick in the third round. So I get drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. And before I get drafted, I don't have any enemies. And I have a son. I had my first son right before my senior year in high school. And my dad, the day that I told my dad that my girlfriend was pregnant, whoo, he didn't hit me or anything like that. He said to me, you finna take your ass to work. I ain't taking care of no goddamn babies, da 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 da. And man, in 2 weeks, my daddy already found me a job. So I've always been working when it comes to taking care of my son. And then my dad even said to me, because the thing came up about college, and my dad said, shit, you ain't going to no college, you finna take care of this baby. And then my high school coach contacted my dad, and he said, Bubba, colleges have this thing called work study. And I feel we can get Clayton on that. Clayton will be able to work. He's going to still be able to help take care of his son. So long story short, I've always taken care of my son. But my relationship with my baby's mama, again, it was nothing that I did on my part to make her want to treat me the way that she treated me. And I don't want to get into more of what she did. I just want to get into the main thing of what she did to let me know that having this money is not going to be cool. So the day that I get drafted, I've always been taking care of my son ever since the day that he was born. The day that I'm drafted, I'm in a hotel room with 3 of my best friends from high school. We just pop open some champagne. And all of a sudden, I hear a knock at the door. I said, I didn't tell anybody I was here. And I opened the door, and it was my baby's mama's mama. And she served me some child support papers. On the day that I don't want to say they didn't even give me an opportunity not to pay child support because I was already paying it. So I'm like, damn, she even already plotting she already had this in the works. Because it was a Saturday that I got drafted. And that night, bam, I got served some papers. And I love my son to this day with all of my heart. I did some crazy things to get home on the weekends to be with my son. But when that happened, that there was something that let me know, Clayton, this is not going to be fun having all this money. And especially you being the kind person that you are. There are going to be so many people going to take advantage of you. There are going to be so many people that when you get into trouble and you go back to them, they're going to be like, what? Man, you ain't send me no $5,000. This is going to be so much stuff happening to you. So that whole money thing, and why I have an issue with it right now, because I have the opportunity to make millions of dollars, millions. And there's this part of me like, man, you know what? I don't want it, but I'm going to get through that and do the right things with it because of how frivolous and silly. And money has just been traumatic for me. Ever since I was a child, from stealing it to making it and then having people break my heart and I thought that loved me. So it was just traumatic. That shit was not a fun experience.
So up until this point in your life, how did you see religion up until this point? Were you practicing religion in any way? Did it ever cross your mind?
No, that's so cool. But you know what? I've always had an issue like before every football game in high school, college, we will always say the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And then something always just didn't feel, I want to like really think about that and like go into that prayer. So, you know, I call myself a Christian, but there's just this part of me is like, I don't mean no disrespect, family, but there's just this part of me is just like, that's just like, nah, just something ain't right about this whole Christianity thing. So when I went to college again, and we had to take Old Testament and New Testament, and when I found out that there's these men that got all of these books, and when I say got, they went and collected all of the religious writings, and then they decided on what books they wanted to put into this Bible they're calling the infallible word of God. So there's just these question marks that just bing go off in my head like, nope, something ain't right. But I would never go into it because again, I'm still scared. I'm like a Christian, but I would still have these little thoughts. But when I got suspended from the Miami Dolphins, and we all have the tendency to do this when we get in trouble, we run straight to God. I got suspended again, you know, you get locked up. No, God help me out of this, and promise you I'll get better. So I did the same thing. I was like, you know what, man? I'm getting ready to read the Bible from Genesis to Exodus. I ain't finna read no chapter. I'm just finna read this like a book. So I made me a bath. I wrote some candles, and I opened that shit up from Genesis, and I started reading. And I was just like, damn. Now, again, when I first started, I would still go by things that would be like, nope, stop and question that, Clayton. It's like, oh, damn, that didn't make sense, but I'm going to keep on reading. But damn, that was kind of stupid. So I'm reading and I'm reading and I read, and it takes me 6 months or so to read the entire Bible like a book. And that was one frightening book. I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm just like, damn, God, why couldn't you let Adam and Eve know that you put the master of all tricks in the garden with them? Why are you gonna punish them like that, God? It's like, I just like, no, I'm just, and it's like, and I keep thinking of me being a father. I was like, I wouldn't have done that to my children. There's no way I would have put my children in the garden. And then when they get bit by a snake, I'm gonna punish them more. I'm just like, what kind of parent am I to do something like that? So I got to the point to where I realized it was okay for me, Clayton, to start thinking and questioning. Now it was frightening at first. I honestly thought I was gonna get hit by lightning. Like, oh, Clayton, you can't ask that or don't. And then I slowly but surely got over all of that. And I feel like whatever God is or source is, it respects us that know how to question respectfully or when things don't make sense. So this whole football and sports, I'm a spiritual person. I don't know exactly where it comes from. You know, my mom and daddy are both spiritual people, but it is so good for me finally to just accept who I am. And people have been telling me this ever since I was a little kid. I used to hear, oh, he's just so sweet. Oh, he's just so loving. And just, I used to be sitting there like, yeah, don't leave your purse around me. So they're telling me all these cool things about me. And that's really who I am. If it wasn't disturbed by all of the abuse that I went through. And now that I've gotten rid of that and I understand it, I'm totally like being who I am. And I'm just love, peace, and understanding, my brother. And that's what I want to help people understand and to realize it's okay to go where I've gone.
So you said that your parents are religious.
Mm-hmm.
How do they see you now?
They haven't said it to me personally, but I still think they see me as, you know, someone that I might burn in hell. Or, you know what, man, it'll just really, you know what would be awesome for me? That if my mom and dad, if I really felt like they love and respect me, like one of my coaches, like they know that's my baby. I don't care what he's been through, that's my boy. And I just don't feel, and again, no disrespect to them, but that's on them. And I honestly feel why they may feel like that, but I honestly don't feel like my parents like truly respect me and the journey that I've been on. Now, my daddy, he getting there. My dad is getting there. My dad is cool. My dad is real cool, and he's getting there. But it would be nice. It's not anything that I need because I understand why they're in the mind state that they're in. But just to have that like that love that a coach gave me from my mom or my dad, shit, man, there ain't nothing that would have stopped me if my mom ever would have sat me on her lap and told me, baby, you're gonna be great one day. Don't you worry about what nobody's saying about you, because I got it from coaches. Now imagine if I'd have got that from my mom and dad. And again, this ain't no slap at my mom and dad. They didn't know how to do that because they weren't given it. But luckily, I was given it and I was born with it. And that's what I give too. It is so beautiful to teach a child and to praise it at the right time and to know how to give it constructive criticism. But those praises at the right time are crucial. And you ask any successful person what I'm talking about. They had that person in their life, the majority of us that encouraged them, that coached them, that let them know they can do better. Yeah, bro.
So you mentioned that there were two critical phases that you went through in reading the Bible. You felt comfortable to ask questions and you were free from the fear of that anything was going to happen to you. Now, At that point in time, how did you feel about things in the church that you had been told about that indirectly, because you know the church has a way directly and indirectly of brainwashing you to believe, as you said, we're told about hell. You don't do this, you're going to go to hell. At that point, when you're trying to understand the Bible and you're looking at things through new eyes, how did you look back at the church in terms of things that they had told you that you were realizing just wasn't what they said it was going to be?
I look back at them as like lost souls that has been taught something that is held deep in the center, like cognitive dissonance, something that it's going to take a miracle for you not to get over it. So I look back at them as being confused, but I also see now that there are some of these pastors that know that, okay, I have an honest soul here, or a former member of my church that's asking me a sincere question. And those pastors hear it. And I think the first thing that comes to their mind is, oh shit, my wallet. Man, this is how I eat. This is how I drive the car, the house I got. You finna tell people that God ain't, man, you better. And see, that's the issue right now, family. That's what we're going through right now, family, is that when you have people like myself, like brothers like Eso, that are sincerely, respectfully asking you questions about things, and then you try to put us on blast or make us seem like we're the antichrist and all of these terrible things that you do, and that is what's holding me up from me completing my journey, is knowing, damn it, Clayton, you know that when you step your foot into this Christ-like arena, what's going to happen to you. Look at the people in history. All of the great, honest, sweet people, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all of the people that really was trying to inspire us to be Christ conscious. There's just these group of people out there that just don't want these things to happen. And then when you are steady pushing this religion that they gave us, you are aiding in that I feel. You're aiding in the deception of man. So I don't, and I'm going to be hated for this, but I don't look at the church as a house of God. I look at it as the house of the devil. And when I say devil, I mean deceivers. They're giving us pieces and bits of a story, and they're not letting us know the main thing that you need to do is learn how to. The Christ said the kingdom is within. How many of you know the kingdom? Christ said that you are going to do far greater things than he if you believe in him. And how are you going to believe or know Christ if you don't become Christ conscious? So they teach us to put it in God's hands. Religion can make you lazy when it comes to bettering yourself. When it comes to you not cheating on your wife or your husband, or doing drugs, or all the things that you know that you're doing that you had the power to stop doing, but you're like, oh no, I believe in Jesus. Oh, I'm sorry, God. Just went out last night and drank and had sex. Now I'm in church Sunday, jumping around and screaming. Y'all think God's stupid. Y'all better wake up if y'all believe the God that you are talking about. But I'm just here to say it doesn't work like that. I honestly feel like what we're calling God doesn't have anything personally to do with what's going on. It's like, I'm not touching this. I've already given every last one of you what you need of what you're asking for me to do. And what kind of joy would I get, or how would that be fair for you to enter in the kingdom if I help you, or if I take this away, or if I do that? So that's what I feel like the church just makes us feel like, just turn it over to God, put it in God's hands. It's just like, no. And again, I see the deception. and I know why the deception is here. And I don't want to say I don't care, but family, I know some of y'all may be hearing me in the wrong way, but you need to hear me in the right way. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about learning how to love and respect people. But when you're reading a book that says God has a chosen people, kill these people are better than these people. When does God talk about us being family? When does the God of the Bible talk about peace on earth? When is there ever going to be peace on earth, family? It ain't ever going to be according to that Bible. And if you're reading something about a jealous, angry, and violent God who likes war, don't be surprised or shocked at what we're doing on this earth. We're fighting each other. This group of people think they're better than that group of people. And it's all because of this book that's been misinterpreted. Words changed. So it's time for us to wake up, family. And I'm not alone in this. And we're going to get to that point, I feel.
So you clearly make a distinction between the God of the Bible to who and what you perceive as God to yourself. Who is God to you? What is God to you?
Okay. If I had to say God was anything, and I'm not saying God is this, I guess you can say this is my theory. I would say God is just like light or energy. I would say God doesn't have shape or form, but it's able to take form and take shape. But I feel like God is just the source that is curious about who's going to find their way back home. God wants to be surprised. I feel like whatever source is, it has the power to know all, but it doesn't want to continuously know that. It's like, that doesn't do me any good. What's going to excite me? So I just feel like it created things and it's hiding in its creation. And it wants its creation to discover it and that it knows all. And it's like a big orgasm for God. It's like, oh, so you found me. Oh, let's see who else is going to find it. So again, that's just me theorizing, but I definitely know that it's not some man in the sky who planned all of this and who's jealous and angry. That is nonsense to me. I don't know exactly what source is, but I know it exists because of what I see every day, from the flowers, from the sun, the moon, the stars. And this wasn't no like Big Bang. And even if it was a Big Bang, source made that Big Bang, even if it was that, but it's not no Big Bang. This is not no accident. This is something absolutely amazing that's happening, and we're being distracted from it. And again, it's like making it to the NFL. It's very rare that people are going to get there. There's certain things that you got to do, a certain practice that you got to put in. And it's the same thing with this heaven we're talking about. It's not going to be overran with Christians and Muslims. And man, it's nonsense. This is nonsense to think that God is God. Our God is Allah. Muslims pray. Their prayers get answered. Christians pray. Their prayers get answered. So is it the name that you're praying to? Like, what's going on? This is embarrassing. I feel like for us to have all of these different gods and to pray to it to harm others and not bring peace and understanding to us. So yeah, it's time for us to wake up, family.
So, from a spiritual point of view, how do you see or how do you practice your own spirituality?
There is not a day that goes by where I don't focus on my breath hitting the bottom of my stomach and just breathing and learning to just like feel. I get profound thoughts, and they get more profound the more I open myself up to learning how to sit still, learning how to be calm, learning how to breathe. Again, my dad mentioned something to me the other day about pray, pray, pray. And I used to say to him, okay, you know what, Pop? I do. And I finally said to him, I said, Pop, you know what? I don't pray no more, Pop. All I do is give thanks, Pop. I give thanks. I don't get on my knees, no, Jesus, God, help me with this. No, Lord, man, I don't do that stuff no more. All I do is give thanks and realize I have the power to make my life better. I have the power, the ability to make my life better. And if God is looking down at me, he's smiling like, yep, that's my boy right there. See that? He ain't asking me for nothing. He's doing it on his own because I gave it to him. So that's what I feel like I'm after right now. That's what I feel like Source is. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. Again, I ain't in no rush, but I'm looking forward. And my goal is just to be completely as Christ conscious as I can before I leave this body, not dying in fear, not laying on my deathbed in fear. And I think that's why most people may get, what do you call it when old people get they start losing their memory. I think
Dementia, Alzheimer's.
yes, when you've done things in your life that you have not repented about and you've not made peace with, that shit's gonna drive you crazy. I feel. So it is best to learn how to repent, know why you made the mistakes that you made, and honestly be like, yo, damn, you know what? I see why I did that. I'm sorry. I'm letting that go. And if you don't, I feel like those things are going to cause us to have these issues. Those skeletons are going to start coming out of the closet, and you can stop all that. Oh, and hiding behind oh, Jesus is going. I believe. No, no. I'm here to tell you, family. I'm sorry. I'm going to give you that hard truth. It's time to wake up.
I think one of the loneliest journeys an individual can make is when they're leaving religion and trying to find for them what is truth. And as a result of that, people don't always understand or appreciate your journey because it's so personal to you. Have you had any negative experiences from people who simply don't understand Clayton Holmes' personal journey?
Yeah, yeah. And the thing that got me about what you said is the lonely part. It was lonely for years and not knowing if I was going to get out of certain situations that I was in. But here I am. It was lonely because you can't ask people that you grew up with that are Christians, that are religious, the kind of things that you're talking about. So it's just lonely. It's lonely, but there's just always these things that would happen in my life where Source was saying to me, Clayton, keep going. Keep going. You keep asking, you keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And this loneliness is going to be over. It is so beautiful to, and this is why I got on Facebook in 2012. I had a fear of writing, of expressing myself. Again, that dumb and stupid thing has always been in my head. So the main reason for me getting on Facebook was to, man, let me see if I can express myself. Let me write. Let me ask some questions. And I look back at the things that I've written, things that I've said, and it's just like, yo, man, it has been amazing to. I'm not alone anymore. I found people like yourself. I found other people that think like me. I used to think that I was the only one thinking like this, and so I'm not alone. And it's just so beautiful, man. But when you first start, this shit is lonely. People are going to disrespect you. They're going to wish hell on you. They're going to say terrible, mean, hateful things to you. And I've been through all of that and I've weathered it and I ain't mad at them at all. I understand it. I understand why they did what they did, but I finally know why I'm here. I used to be a child that used to, like before I was about to get assaulted when I was a child, now I was innocent. I used to do what they said in church. You pray. Like, oh God, please don't let them touch me or don't have them ask me to. I used to do these things. And then it was happening. I'm just like, why, God? Why? And what Source was like, I can't show you like why right now because you're not going to understand it. But I promise you, Clayton, I just always had this feeling. I promise you, you're going to understand everything that you've been through, son. You just weather this shit, you learn from it, and you help other children not go through it, and you help adults stop doing it. So that's what I'm here for. That's why I suffered. That's why I went through the hell that I went through, is to understand it and to help people know why they're doing what they're doing. And don't do this to children uh, because this may be the result of what you're going to get if you treat them like this. So yeah, I've just been blessed with something, and it's going to make a lot of people feel bad. because they're doing the things that I'm talking about. And this is why people like me and yourself get hated, or somebody wants to kill us, is because of how we're making them feel when we're giving them this love. And I can't help it, man. I can't help but to be who I am. And that's what I'm gonna be.
So one of the things I get very frequently is emails from people who are struggling with religion, struggling to leave religion, or they've left and they want to know what to believe next. They don't know what to do, how to fill the void. What advice would you give to anybody who is in that situation?
I would say that is a beautiful situation to be in. And just as somebody that's walked through that, I honestly want to let you know that it's okay. Just imagine source, especially if anyone feels like this, that has a loving mother or father that was first to teach them and not quick to punish them. Just understand that that's truly how source is. He don't think that you can't ask. Don't feel bad about asking source anything. And especially if you yourself are a loving parent, and you love when your children ask you questions that they really don't understand, and you want to try your best to explain it to them. But at the same time, you know that, wow, my child is not old enough to understand exactly what I'm talking about. But my suggestion would be, family, keep doing what you're doing. God loves questions. Source loves questions, especially if they're coming from a respectable place. Don't ever feel like you can't ask God something, or he's just this real mean man that they painted. So just get that picture in your mind, understand that that's okay. And I'm telling you the truth because I've been through it. And again, I got hit by a car on 12/11/15, where a lot of people are wishing hell on me. They're probably wishing me dead. But I got hit by a car. I was in a coma for 3 days. I broke a bone in my neck, and I'm walking. I got a beautiful scar right in the center of my forehead from where it hit the windshield. And in that coma is where I got my confirmation to continue to do what I'm doing. So I'm letting you know, family, that it's okay to step out of this nonsense. It's okay to question. It's okay. And one of the most important things that you can do, a lot of people pray. Oh, Jesus, pray, pray, boom, they get up. One of the best things you can do is sit still after you pray. Some of y'all scared to sit alone with God. Sit your ass still after you pray. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, uh-huh. That's what you need to do. Sit down, get out of that book, ask God, and sit still and learn where the answers come from that place. There's this place in us where we know it's source. Because I'm gonna tell you how you know it's source, because it's gonna make you look at your ass. It's gonna make you look at you. So yeah, learn how to sit still, not just pray. And even if you do pray, sit and listen for the answers and know where, okay, this is my ego, or this is spirit. And I'm telling you right now, you're gonna know when the spirit, when your ass get uncomfortable and you want to get up. When you don't want to sit there no more, when you feel that shit coming back on you, that's when you need to sit still, be quiet, and be the change, because it's trying to give it to you. It's like, okay, you asking me, I'm gonna show you. So that's what this is about to me. Not begging to some man in the sky, not eating his flesh and drinking his blood on certain days. That's not it. That's not it.
So what's next for Clayton Holmes in your journey?
To inspire children, to inspire children, to inspire parents, to inspire children, to let them understand that that's where it all began, right there. Teach our children to be calm and assertive. Our children need to be taught on a spiritual level, not on the level what they teach us when we go into elementary school, all the lies that they start feeding children. Help children understand what anger is, what being calm is, what being peaceful is, on the spiritual side of yourself. this earth would be a better place. So that's what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's what I'm going to do. Speaking, books, children. That's it. Love, peace, and understanding. I know that's me. I've been blessed with it. I've played professional football. I've had several concussions, and I have some neurological issues. But I discovered that I have two minds. When I get up here, I can feel slow sometimes. And I felt like this, like even in college and things, certain things I'm trying to learn, it may take me an hour to understand a paragraph, and it may take you 15 minutes because I'm that really methodical. I'm just like, I don't want to go there. I'm just like, no. And so I just feel slow, and I've accepted that about myself, especially when somebody's trying to teach me bullshit. Excuse my language. But when somebody's teaching me real stuff, bro, man, I'm speaking from here right now. This whole time I've been speaking from here. I haven't been up here much. So whenever I'm from here, I'm in that place. But I have my little issues up here that I'm dealing with. I'm at peace with. But I'm excited about life. I'm excited that I finally know why I'm here, and I'm here to inspire children, to inspire people to know that you're better than what you think you are, and teach a child that as soon as you can. You always, as soon as you see that child with his head down, like, hey, lift your head up. What'd you learn from that? Everything in life is a lesson. Everything. Don't you feel bad about nothing too long, because it's coming back around. Yeah, this shit's simple to me on what can make a person peaceful and respect other people and respect itself. And if you go through any kind of abuse, man, whew, and we know how it is once a habit sinks in, it's going to be difficult. So we got to start doing this from the jump. And that's what the future is for Clayton, my brother.
Clayton Holmes, thank you for joining Esoteric Thoughts today. Thank you.
Love you, my brother. You keep doing what you're doing.